Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 8 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2021 with match number 43 on our list, which is the match between Joey Janela and Nick Wayne from the November 25th, 2021 edition of DEFY Wrestling's DEFY Now series. This is, really at its core, it's the super indie style of match, right? It's the head drops and the strike exchanges and the crazy spots and, everything that you would expect from a match of that type. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that style certainly has its place in wrestling. Others may disagree. That's their prerogative. But what really sets this match apart and really pushes it over the top to be a more than worthy inclusion on this list is the story that they tell and the performances from both wrestlers in this match. Nick Wayne, if you're unfamiliar with him, 16 years old at the time that this match happened, 17 years old now. He is a child, he is a high school student, and he is incredible. And maybe, I'm not going to go on record and say, the most talented teenage wrestler I've ever seen, because, we think of guys like Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera that started in their teens as well. And I'm sure there's others that I can't think of off the top of my head. But, of this era, for sure, he is incredible. If you haven't seen him, a style very much reminiscent of Will Ospreay, which is funny. Nick Wayne is the son of Buddy Wayne, old school wrestler, new school kid, just going hard and doing his thing. He is developing so much more match to match to match. Recently signed to AEW. He is phenomenal. I'm so jealous, being more than double this dude's age that, that he has all of that talent and I have, no athletic ability whatsoever. But he's an incredible wrestler. And the story here, it's, really about kind of Joey Janela's personal struggles, I think. Because they establish there's the age difference here. Joey Janela's 32, Nick Wayne is 16. You don't think of Joey Janela as an old guy in the wrestling business, but he also has been wrestling since being a teenager. He started when he was around 15 or 16 as well. So, at this point, he's been wrestling for longer than Nick Wayne's been alive. He started around the same time as Nick Wayne, so he sees a bit of himself in this kid. But the difference here is that Joey Janela had to grind through the Northeast Indies to get to where he is and to get an AEW contract. And it's been publicized the past couple of months on the internet. Joey Janela most likely not having his AEW contract renewed for whatever reason. After a really hot start, he had big matches with Moxley, big matches with Omega. AEW really didn't utilize him. He's such a creative individual, a really good talent, and for whatever reason, just really didn't fit on AEW television. And I'm sure he has his frustrations about that. So this match, he sees where his career is at, right? And then he sees someone like Nick Wayne that started around the same age of him, that immediately has this buzz, and ironically enough would end up getting offered an AEW contract a couple of months after this match. He's yet to debut on AEW television, but we'll see how that goes and see if he's able to leapfrog where Joey Janela was able to get in that company. So it creates this natural resentment in this match. And that comes out in the story here. In this match, it starts with, I'll say, like a relatively split crowd. DEFY Wrestling, if you're unfamiliar with that, they run out of Seattle. They've been going, I want to say, about 5 years now. They have really beautifully shot shows. Everything is really great HD, great camera work. They utilize some, local Pacific Northwest guys, Nick Wayne being a great example. He's come up through DEFY. They utilize, the bigger talent that's from that area, like Darby Allin and Shane Strickland. They've always put them in main event roles. They bring in, great talent from all over. So they're a little bit of a melting pot. They have a great YouTube channel. They put a lot of matches on there for free, this one being one of them. But they also have an on-demand service as well that has, all of their episodes. And, they have a bit of a relationship with AEW. They have AEW guys on their show like Chris Daniels and Eddie Kingston. So promotion check out if you are unfamiliar with them and haven't seen them. But they have really hot crowds. They run like a cool venue. They have really hot crowds. And the crowd is mostly behind Nick Wayne for this match. He's their local boy. He's their kid. But, Joey Janela is this cool star, coming into the territory. So he has, I'll say like a vocal minority fan base there too. So we start and it's kind of, I don't want to say 50-50 crowd, but it is a little bit of a split crowd. And, they start with a handshake, and Janela's really respectful to this youngster, and we get, a lot of nice, clean wrestling to start. Janela's kind of playful. There's a spot where he backs Nick Wayne into the ropes and, gives him the clean break, but the crowd's chanting, like, Nick F. and Wayne. And Janela kind of like pats, Nick Wayne's chest to the beat of that chant. So it's all just, really kind of this fun, playful, veteran youngster match at the start. And, you can tell Janela's having fun out there. He hits a shoulder block and he, kind of does all of this muscular posing and stuff like that, to make the crowd laugh. But then Nick Wayne starts to pick up the speed a little bit. And Joey Janela ends up bailing the corner. So Nick Wayne, kind of maybe oversteps his bounds a little bit, maybe disrespects the veteran a little bit, and he kind of does like the Scott Hall, like spooky fingers taunt to Joey Janela, and that's, a typical kind of Joey Janela taunt. So he does these spooky fingers, and then he offers the handshake, right? Again, it's all playful, Janela's kind of been messing with him a little bit, but, this causes Janela to feel disrespected, to feel insulted, and probably feel inferior to this kid that just outquicked him too. So he responds with a slap and then kind of does, the spooky finger taunt back to Nick Wayne. And Nick Wayne just pounces on him because he's, this young, fiery kid, right? He doesn't really understand all of his emotions yet. He's a teenager. He's growing up. He's got a lot of development still to do. So he pounces on Janela and pounds away, and as the referee pulls him off, Joey Janela just decks him with a cheap shot. And at this match, it is firmly established. This cute, 50-50 match we were having, that is no longer on the table. Joey Janela is going to be a full heel. Nick Wayne is going to be this amazing, resilient kid fighting from underneath, and they're about to have a war. And that's exactly how this match plays out. And it's so great because I mentioned, the kind of split crowd at the start. By the end of this match, not a single person there is behind Joey Janela. They are 100% with Nick Wayne, supporting Nick Wayne, and it's just a great testament to the performance of both of these guys. Janela especially, just managing to be deplorable by, taking cheap shots and beating up on this kid. And Janela just pummels him. And every time Nick Wayne starts to get a little, glimmer of hope, a little bit of offense running, he slows down the pace. He'll bail to the floor. There's one point where he bails to the floor and Nick Wayne immediately hits him with the tope con hilo, which I thought was great. And again, shows the difference between these two wrestlers. But Joey, he slows the pace down. He's got very measured strikes and measured offense. And, he pummels on the kid. Eventually, Nick Wayne, he kind of gets like a trip into the buckles and he starts to get this offense running. And he's got all of these great moves, and he, wrestlers take moves from other wrestlers. That's how wrestling works. So Nick Wayne kind of, he cherry picks, some Will Ospreay moves and some Rey Fenix moves, and all of the most exciting wrestlers there is going. He takes their offense and he throws his little twists on it and adapts it and stuff too. But he's a young kid. He's learning, right? This is to be expected, but he does such a good job. He's a very fluid wrestler. So he hits, a rolling code red like Rey Fenix and all of this cool stuff. But he goes up top for a swanton bomb and Joey makes him pay and just, gets the knees up. Nick Wayne crashes and burns. But we go into the first absolutely incredible spot in this match where, Nick Wayne bails to the floor and Joey Janela is like, I can do that, high flying stuff too. Again, having this chip on his shoulder, feeling his ego a little bit attacked, and he, nails Nick Wayne with the tope. and throws him back into the ring and takes the moment, like I said, at this point, Joey's kind of full heel, to milk to the crowd and pose to the crowd. But Nick Wayne, he's got, this unlimited energy. So when he's thrown back into the ring, he responds and he hits a Sasuke special. But as he's coming over the ropes with the moonsault portion, Janela catches him, and Nick Wayne in one fluid motion turns it into like a tornado DDT. It was unreal. It was so freaking cool. And from there, they just go ham for the rest of this match. The DEFY, like I said, they run a cool venue. It's like a concert hall. It's got like a big stage. So they do a spot where Joey kind of like catapults Nick Wayne up onto the stage, and he dives off, and Joey catches him with like a big forearm. They have a great, super kick exchange. Like I said, this is the super indie style match. So we get, reverse Ranas and all of this stuff. Nick Wayne goes for the Oz Cutter, which is one of his signatures. This guy clearly really looks up to Will Ospreay from a wrestling influence standpoint. So he goes for the Oz Cutter, and Joey Janela catches him on his shoulders and hits him with a Psycho Driver, and then follows that up with a package pile driver for 2. So, I mean, if you're someone that, hates head drops and kickouts and stuff like that, this isn't the match for you. But my goodness, is it ever exciting. And the crowd, they react in kind. And that's, to me, the most important thing. You can have a match with 100 near falls and all of these crazy moves, but if everybody sits on their hands and nobody cares, what's the point? But if your crowd is exploding with every move, the enthusiasm from the crowd becomes infectious. And as the watcher, it brings that enthusiasm up as well. And it can grow into this match that you unconditionally love, like this one. We get a fight on the apron, and Joey Janela kind of like seats himself up on the top rope to do something. And Nick Wayne runs off the apron and hits a Spanish fly on Joey Janela from the second buckle right to the floor. Absolutely wild spot. So Janela, really comes up like selling the arm from this. And, again, they do a really great job making it seem like it's legitimate. Maybe it was. I don't know. It ties into the finish, so maybe it was the plan all along. But, he's selling the arm. Janela, again, not to be outdone. Nick Wayne goes up top. Janela cuts him off and hits a reverse Spanish fly, which is super cool, and chains that right into a crossface. But Nick Wayne's able to counter out of the crossface into a Fujiwara armbar on the bad arm that Joey's been selling. So they really start to go the arm route here. Joey goes back to the well with the package pile driver, but this time Nick Wayne has it scouted and hits like an arm wringer, and Janela takes this wild like head spike bump off of it, which is crazy. He kicks out the arm. Joey goes, or I should say Nick Wayne goes back to the Fujiwara armbar, and Joey Janela like counters it into a spike Death Valley driver, only for a 1 count. And, I've talked about 1 counts on this show before too, where, just like I mentioned with the hot crowd on the big spots, 1 count kickouts don't always get the reaction that you want, because crowds are like preconditioned, for the 1, 2, then it's either 3 or the kickouts. The one count kickouts tend to throw crowds off a little bit, I find. But here, this one's perfect. Nick Wayne kicks out at 1. It does like this amazing teenage fiery, like let's go sort of thing. And the crowd reacts in kind, and Janela drops him with another spike DVD for 2. We get, a strike exchange where they're slapping and kicking and hitting each other. And, this time Joey beat up on Nick Wayne early in the match with all of these strikes, but here they're really presenting Nick Wayne to be Joey's equal and standing toe to toe with them. And our finish here is it's unbelievably cool. So Nick Wayne goes back for the Oz Cutter. We talk about going to the well once too often. Joey made that mistake with the package pile driver, paid for it. Nick Wayne, he's went for that Oz Cutter a couple of times. He goes for it again, and, Joey blocks it and just nails this big lariat on Nick Wayne, turns him inside out, but starts selling that arm because he used that bad arm for the lariat. And this was the final blow. At this point, Joey Janela knows he has nothing left. One of my favorite matches of all time is Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome from the Christmas Eve 1999 edition of ECW on TNN. And the story that they sell in that match is Masato Tanaka gets an arm injury, and his finishing move is the Roaring Elbow. And he, Joey Styles really plays up on commentary that Tanaka knows he's one shot with that elbow. He has to hit that elbow and he's either going to put Mike Awesome away, or he's going to do too much damage to his own arm and it's going to cost him the match. So that's exactly what they do here with Joey. He hits this big lariat, takes Nick Wayne out, but he's crippled his own arm. He can't capitalize on it. And by the time he finally is able to roll over for the cover, it's given Nick Wayne enough time to recover. Nick Wayne transitions it right into a Fujiwara armbar, and Joey Janela immediately taps out. And that was so good at putting over the story of their match with the instant tap out. And this is something that, we would see a lot in, the mid-2000s matches with guys like Benoit and Finlay and Regal, where they would really put over each other's submission works with these instant taps. And that's exactly what you got here. And it makes perfect sense that this arm it's hanging on by a thread. Joey can't do anything else. And he gives up the clean win to the youngster. And this was a huge win for Nick Wayne. The crowd is amazing for it. But what really sets this match over the top is the post-match. The match itself is great, but it gets this pretty little bow put on it with this really kind of weirdly emotional post-match promo where, Joey Janela starts talking and he puts over the story of the match, how he started, at Nick Wayne's age, and how Nick Wayne is so much better at that age than he was or that really anybody has. And Joey starts to get a little emotional talking about, Nick Wayne's father, Buddy Wayne, and how he kind of felt like he was there in spirit for the match. And then Janela kind of breaks down a little bit and basically says, to Nick Wayne, I'm going to look out for you in this business. And it's just, it's so genuine and it's so raw. And it really kind of bleeds through the screen, that Joey Janela is being completely sincere in this. And Janela is someone that, like I said, he made his way to AEW and it hasn't really worked out for him. But he's helped others make their way to AEW too. He's put over so many young guys. He's always somebody that's scouring the independents for young talent, getting them booked on GCW, working them and often putting them over. You look at Marco Stunt, and unfortunately his AEW career doesn't really seem to be panning out either. But, Jungle Boy is a great example. Joey Janela puts over Jungle Boy. And, he's AEW Tag Team Champion right now and one of their, 4 young pillars, right? One of their biggest stars. So here he is putting over Nick Wayne and basically saying, I'm going to make sure you succeed. The business is a terrible place, especially, for a young kid like you. But I'm here for you. I'm going to be your big brother. You don't have your dad, to watch out for you. So I'm gonna put myself in that role and I'm gonna take care of you. It's really quite beautiful, and it ends with this great moment where Joey kind of gets in Nick Wayne's face in the corner and starts shoving him, basically saying you're the effing man, over and over and over again, pumping this young kid up. And it's this really incredible post match that just adds so much to this package. There is 1,000 matches a year that are wrestled like this match. But this one, it's so exceptionally better than so many of those matches because, like I said, it's got this raw emotion. It's got this great crowd and atmosphere. It's got this great story of, a young veteran unraveling because his career didn't make it out the way, it should have. And this young kid that already is better than him, that he has this jealousy and this resent toward, but also, sees something special in him and wants to take care of him. It's pro wrestling beauty at its highest form. If you haven't seen this match, it's available for free on YouTube. You have no reason not to watch it. I will link it on my Twitter page. You can follow me on social media at Wrestling50. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube so that you don't miss a video. And as always, join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.